Hey y'all, I'm Savannah and this is Savannah Says. Today I'm here with, it's kind of an unhaul, but not really. This is going to be the start of something that I hope I don't have a lot of, but it's essentially my self-destruct pile. And what that means is that these are books that I have had on this one bookshelf, some of them from 2017 and some of them I remember I bought in 2019. And there are books that I have not read that I have just been carrying around from shelf to shelf. And since I've committed myself to trying to be a booktuber, but also just someone who wants to read more and wants to continuously buy books, I have to cycle them out, right? I can't keep everything, especially since I live in this small ass apartment and I quite literally only have one shelf. It was out of control, things were triple stacked, which isn't a problem, but again, I just want to know that what I have on my shelf are things that I'm going to like, because I'm a person who rereads. I reread books that I enjoy extremely frequently. Some of my favorite books are Tattered and Torn. I rewatch the same movies over and over again. I just like revisiting things that I know will make me happy, and that is my attempt to curate my bookshelves to make me happy all the time. So yeah, the stack is kind of large. You can't really see it. It's on the floor. It's pretty much knee level, and I'm going to stack them by my bed. And so every time I pick up a physical book, I'm going to read one of these and come back and let y'all know if it sucked or if I'm gonna keep it. I don't really know what the timeline for this is gonna be. I know that I have to give myself at least 6 months because it's a lot of fucking books. So I'm gonna just say I could do this twice a year and revisit in 6-7 months time, and then if I haven't read it by then, it needs to go, and if I have read it by then, you would have known. And so that way, because I already know in 6 months time I will have more books, as I literally just bought 2 books last night. So I don't know what all of these books are about anymore, because again, I bought them so long ago, I don't really know what they're about, and I'm not going to sit here and look them up because this video is already going to be kind of long. Yeah, self-destruct pile. I will be checking in periodically with the books that I read. At the end of it, we're gonna see how many we have, and I will try to formulate a plan, but let's get started. Well, first I want to say that some of these I definitely just have multiple copies of them, and that's why I'm getting rid of them, but some of them I also don't know if I'm going to like. And this does not include books that I've not read the sequels for, City of Brass over here. I've read the first one, I started the second one, never read the third one, but I know that I liked the first one, so I'm fine with that. Shorefall, I know that I've read Foundry Side and I know that I liked it. So this is not that, but whatever. I'm rambling. I'm gonna get started. So first off, I have whatever this series is called. Zero fucking clue. So first off the bat, I have 2 of these Frostbloods. They can go. It says, in a world of ice, she will burn. So I guess this girl has fire powers. I remember this. Oh yes, Ruby is a fireblood. Okay. I remember this book being really fucking boring. And I don't know if the rest of the series is boring or if this book was just mid because I wasn't in the mood for it, but it's a YA fantasy. And I clearly liked it because I bought all 3 of them. But yeah, whatever this series is called is going on the sack. Next up, we have Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. Now, I bought a box set that had the first 5 of these, but I didn't feel like digging out all 5 of them, but I do have 5 of these, the first 5. And I remember liking this book. It's a middle grade fantasy. I think this girl's a fairy or something, or she finds out she's a fairy. That's wrong. She's a telepath. Okay, whatever. I remember liking this book, and last night on Goodreads I was looking and I gave this 4 stars, so I don't imagine this will be bad, and I imagine that I will continue because I do like middle grade, but I've had this for 3 years. It's gotta go. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I don't know why I fucking bought this because I don't like YA contemporary, and that's what this is, so I don't think I'm gonna like this, and I don't even think I'm going to put this in the stack. I just got a new job that involves books, and they take used books, and I'm never gonna fucking read this, so I'm just gonna not even pretend that I will. Rebel Springs by Morgan Rhodes is the second book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I remember the first book being kind of boring, but by the last 20% of the book was good. And I know there's 7 of these, and I clearly don't even have the first one. I just have the second one, so I probably will not buy anymore, but I do want to know. Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I don't know what this is. It's a mystery. I know there's a movie with Emily Blunt. I'm assuming that's why I bought this. Don't really know. We'll see. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Now, again, I talked about this in like the books that I never finished video. I read pretty much all of this, and I have a sick feeling that this might be a a guilty pleasure. So I kind of think I'm going to like this because the show's like not bad, but there's like a shit ton of these books and they're all really long. And this is a historical fantasy, well, historical romance, not fantasy, my bad. Historical romance about this woman named Claire, and she's like in 1940s, 1930s, and she ends up back in time, and she meets this Scottish guy named Jamie, and they form a relationship, and it's like really convoluted because what I know of it, I know from the show. But yeah, might be a guilty pleasure, so kind of excited to see if I want to continue. The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. Now, I don't know, this is like I think it's a YA fantasy, not sure if it's like bordering YA or adult, but I've always seen this book on YouTube and people seem to really like it, and I don't have any reason to believe that I would dislike a YA fantasy, but again, I've had this for longer than I don't know how long I've had this book, and it's literally got new book smell, never been touched. So yeah, The Demon King, we'll see. Next we have The Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. Now, I've read a book by Mary E. Pearson. I think I lied. I have not read a book by her, but I did start to read this first one and I never got finished. I got about halfway through. This is a YA, I think it's historical fantasy / romance about this girl who's like a princess and she's supposed to get married, and she runs away because she doesn't want to be married, and then this assassin gets sent after her, and I'll hold them up so you can see. This assassin gets sent after her, and like during the book you don't know if like the second POV is the assassin or the prince, and people seem to like this series. I mean, it's a romance. I don't really dislike romance, but I've had them for a while and the time has come. Oh, that was the third book. This is the first one. This is the first one, called The Kiss of Deception. The Beauty of Darkness is the last one. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Now, I actually do want to read this because I've never read any of the Mortal Instruments, Mortal Shadow Hunters, whatever the fuck that series is called. I've never read any of them before, but this is just a duplicate copy. So I am going to read this. I do want to read this. I just have 2 of these books. The Witch of Willow Hall by Hester Fox. I don't know why I bought this. It's about witches, and I guess that's why. It's historical. I'm assuming like historical fiction, maybe? I don't know if it's really fantasy, maybe magical realism, not sure. We'll see. The Kremlin Conspiracy by Joel C. Rosenberg. Now, I once upon a time wanted to be a criminologist. I think that's what they're called. I wanted to be someone who worked for the CIA or the FBI and like investigated the Kremlin. So that's probably why I bought this. I was like really into politics. I'm still into politics, but like not so much in books. I've never read a political book, so I like political intrigue though, mostly in fantasy, but like I don't see why this book wouldn't be good. An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Now, I don't think that I'm gonna dislike this. I just never read it, and I've had this book for like 4 years at this point, and the time has come for me to read it. This is a YA fantasy. I think it's like martial arts-ish, maybe? I don't know. There's soldiers. There's 4 of these books. People like it. I think that I'm probably gonna like it, and I want to do like a whole review of the series, but like, again, I've never read the first one. It's got new book smell, fresh spine. I'm gonna read it. Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is about a girl. This is like I think it's an adult fantasy actually. And it's about this girl. She's an assassin, and I don't know if there's like vampires or demons or something. I'm not really sure. But I know that Jay Kristoff is like a shitty person, and then he's been exposed for having shitty views. But I've had this book for so long, I just want to know. And people seem to love this trilogy of his, the Nevernight trilogy, for what it is. And so I think if that many people like it, then I also would probably like it. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, so this is a YA fantasy. I've seen the show. I didn't finish the show, but I've seen like the first 6 episodes, and I think I have 2 left or whatever. But my first introduction to this world, the Grishaverse, was through 6 of Crows. Like I read 6 of Crows first, and I didn't know this existed, so I bought this. But people have said they don't really like it. So either way, I'm gonna read it. Obviously, I don't know why I'm giving you these long ass explanations, so I'm gonna read it either way. But I know this is set in like a Russian like fantasy world. I think this one is set in that same world. they're closing the fold. It's like this rift in the universe and there's like monsters coming through or something, at least on the show. So yeah. Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. This is a YA fantasy about these sisters, and I think they're all queens or something, and they have to like fight for the throne or something. Yes, they all have magic and they all have to fight for the throne, kind of like Wizards of Waverly Place, I guess. There's like 4 of these books. I've never read this. Again, I'm gonna stop saying that because it's obvious that I've never read these, but people did like this series on the internet. Like, the reviews are generally positive, so I'm hopeful. The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. Now this is a YA fantasy again, and about, they have magic. I think they might be in a school. They're trying to steal like an artifact or something. They're going back in time to steal an artifact. Okay, so either way, seems enjoyable. I think there's like 3 or 4 of these books at this point. I'll let y'all know. Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. Now, I'm not sure what this is about. It's an adult fantasy, and again, they all have the same general theme. Like, there's an empire, someone's gonna save it, someone's gonna destroy it. I think this main character is like the chosen one or something. And there's like 5 books in this series, and I don't know, there's a dragon on the front. I have no reason to assume that I'm gonna dislike a book about dragons. I love dragons. Lost Queen by Signe Pike. This is a historical fantasy. I don't know if this is fantasy, but it says that it's like inspired by like the Legend of Camelot / Outlander. So I think there's probably a romance in here. It's definitely historical fiction, and it's a trilogy. And yeah, I'm trying to get into historical fiction. Actually, I just like made a whole Goodreads like list about historical fantasy / fiction that I want to get into. Just because of my job now, people are always like reading historical fiction, and I realize that I need to broaden my taste. So hopefully this book will be the start of that. Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I actually won this in a Goodreads giveaway, which ironic because we all know that no one wins those. And this is a signed copy, and it was signed in 2019. So at this point, I need to read it. All of her books are different, but I know that this is like a fantasy, and I know it's inspired by indigenous mythology. So again, the one book that I read from her, I really did enjoy, and I know that all of her books, again, are of a different genre. So high hopes. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Again, I think I'm going to like this, but I think I've been avoiding it because I don't like being sad. And I know the story is sad, but this is like a classic, for what it's worth, a modern classic, I suppose you can call it. And I've seen parts of the movie. I've never seen the whole movie from start to finish, and I've seen like parts of the musical. So I pretty much know the story, but I've never read it with my eyes. So I'm excited, but also don't want to be sad. And so even I feel like if I don't like this, I'm going to keep it, just because like this is something that I feel like is just an important part of literature, especially for the Black community. So yeah. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Now, I tried to read this one. Okay, this is an adult fantasy, and I've tried to read this once, and I just like wasn't in the mood for it. But this is based off of Mayan mythology, I think, and I'm not even sure if I don't know what really the premise is apart from that. It just says a god will return when the earth and sky converge under the black sun. So it is a trilogy about magic and indigenous people's mythology. Pre-Columbian is what the book says. So again, I don't really have a reason to believe that I'm going to dislike any of these fantasy books, but this one was just like hard for me to get into, and therefore I never finished. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a YA fantasy about African mythology. They have magic. I think they're like ancestral magic or spirits or something. I remember this book being like all the rage when it came out, and my sister really enjoyed it. I just bought it and never read it. And from what I understand, the second book wasn't as good, people say. I don't know if there's more at this point, because again, this book came out a while ago. But the whole point of the challenge is to read it and see if I like it. And if I like it, I'll keep it. So you will know what I feel about this book. A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. Now, this is a French, I think it's YA, a French fantasy that's been translated into English. There's 4 books in this series. And all I know is that this girl, it's something to do with like a mirror world. And that is how the story begins, or it's either how the story begins or how she gets her magic. I have seen this book on YouTube before, mainly from one channel, Peruse Project, I think is what her channel is called. I'll link it below. But she talks about this book sometimes, and she seemed to like it, and I like her taste and think that I would also like it. So I'll let you know. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. There's 4 books in the series. This is like a YA historical fantasy, and she works in the main character works in a mortician's office, I think. And I know every book is about like a new mythical creature or something. So this one's like Jack the Ripper. There's like a Frankenstein one. There's a Dracula one. There's another one whose title is eluding me. And this author also has like a new series out that's finishing now. So I want to read all of her books, but this is just one that I've had for a while. And again, we'll see. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Now, everyone fucking loves this book, and I have no clue what this is about. I think it's about World War II. I think it's historical fiction. Okay, yeah, it's about World War II. There's Nazis. There's book burning. People love this book. I don't know if it's a movie or not. I feel like at this point it probably is a movie. I'm gonna look that up. I got this from the Goodwill for like $2, so like I'm not really pressed if I don't like it. But with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. This is I don't know if it's political, but it's like a thriller, crime thriller, hardcore thriller about this girl. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I always imagine this to be like the Bourne movies, but with a woman. Could be wrong, don't know. People like this book. It's a movie now. It's been out forever. I'm gonna read it. Next, I have the Noughts and Crosses series by Mallory Blackman. And it's Noughts and Crosses is the first book. Double Cross is the second book. Knife Edge and Checkmate. Now, my problem with these books, apparently there's 5 of them. That's the first issue I have. The second issue I have is that this first one, Noughts and Crosses, like I had seen the BBC TV show and I thought the show was good. It was like 6 episodes, like a mini series. I really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh shit, like the show was good. I'm gonna read the book. And I don't know, dog. I did not like this book. I gave it like 2 stars, I think. And I think like this is just a book that you have to have read in a certain point of your life for it to be impactful. And essentially the premise of this, it's like I guess you can call it contemporary, like contemporary, but in a dystopian type world where like Africa was the continent that colonized the world and not Britain. So, or Europe really. Africa did it instead of Europe. And so in England, where the story takes place, like Black people are the majority and they are called knots and white people are called crosses, I think. Whatever. One of them is called one of these. And these 2 kids fall in love. This white guy, his name is Callum, and his mom is like a maid in Seffi's house. Her dad's like a famous politician, and that's how they fall in love. They grow up together, essentially. They fall in love, but this book, like, it has some really dark themes in it, and like the characters to me were not believable because they were like 14 and 16, but they were going through like adult shit, thinking and talking like adults. And in the TV show, they were like in their 20s. They were like aged up significantly, so it made sense. But, you know, every book in the series is, I think, about a different character, but still related to these first 2, like in different generations. I think the second book is about their siblings. I'm not really sure because again, I gave this like 2 stars. I wasn't really feeling it, but for the sake of like this challenge and the sake of like keeping myself accountable and just seeing if the books get better. If I read it again and I hate it, I'm just gonna give it away. So yeah. Noughts and Crosses. Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Primarily, I'm giving this away because I have a version where the text isn't like 1-point font. So I bought a regular size version of this book and I'm going to just give this one away. Our favorite, Our Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I don't know what my like beef is with this book. I don't know why I can't read it. I don't know why I didn't like it. I'm gonna read it. It's on KU now though, but like for the sake of I have it, I'm gonna read it. If I hate it, I'll give it away. This is about this guy named Kel, and there's like 4 Londons. It's like a historical fantasy, I think. Adult, I'm pretty sure. And every version of London that he can travel to has like a different kind of magic, I think. So like there's like a red one, a black one, a white one, I think a gray one, maybe the regular one. I'm not really sure, but people love this book. People love V.E. Schwab, and I just don't get it because I tried to watch her show on Netflix and it wasn't good. And, you know, I shouldn't be basing my opinion on her off of a show on Netflix that's targeted for preteens, which I'm not, but I'm gonna read it. You're gonna know. Crazy Rich Asians. I'm gonna be real with myself. I'm never gonna read this. I didn't like it. I don't like contemporary romance, so I'm just going to give this away. And last, we have The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This is a adult fantasy about it's like this magic system, and like it's based off of like the light spectrum. So like however, I guess whatever power you have in the light that you can refract, I guess is the word, or like whatever. The colors of the lights have to do with how much power you're using, and I don't know if the power is finite or not. But this is like a 5-book series, and I want to get into adult fantasy, so I might honestly prioritize this one first, but we'll see. So we are done, and that is 33 books. Now 33 divided by 6, I guess, will come out to something like 5 point something a month. I don't know that I can read 5 of these books a month. I'm going to aim for 3, which I know puts me at 10 months, but like whatever. I'm going to try my best to get this done by the summertime, because I just don't want to have stacks of books lying around that I'm not going to read. And I've already like replaced all this empty space on my bookshelves with new books. So I'm going to try to prioritize this. And let me know in the comments if you read any of these books, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if I should keep some of them, not give some of them away, give them a chance. Let a girl know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.